enhancing identification and referral to treatment for First Nations children and youth. Hello, bonjour, Ani. My name is Lily, and I'm the knowledge translator for the ACHWM. I work in partnership with Nancy Young, Soleil Machado, Kiana Seidel, Samantha Fowler, and Mia Book on the ACHWM team, who took lead on this project. We are very grateful for financial support from the Kendall Centre at CAMH, which helped us build the depression measure for the ACHWM. This then led us to the CIHR COVID grant that allowed us to build on these resources and create the Resource Hub. To share a little bit about us, the ACHWM stands for Anishinaabe, the Children's Health and Wellbeing Measure. We aim to empower local services to effectively measure and respond to Indigenous children's wellness. Today, we'll go over both of these Resource Hubs initiatives. First, the Mental Health Wellness Program Compendium, and secondly, the Wellness Resources and Deliverables. We'll present a few examples of resources. We will go over how to access the Resource Hub, and finally, what the future holds for the Resource Hubs. Indigenous children are at much higher risk of emotional and mental health issues than their non-Indigenous peers. This population is uniquely vulnerable, is heavily impacted by COVID-19 restrictions, and lacks access to health supports that, well, most Canadians take for granted. One of the worst consequences of the COVID-19 pandemic is its impacts on the mental wellness of this population of young people, which led us to the Resource Hub. We hope that this helps communities and organizations grow their supports for Indigenous children's wellness. The Resource Hub facilitates the sharing of knowledge across communities and nations to support the mental wellness of Indigenous children and youth. So this is really designed for those who support Indigenous children, such as parents, teachers, mental health workers, program leaders, etc. The two main initiatives of the Resource Hub are the Mental Wellness Program Compendium and the Wellness Resources and Deliverables. Previous ACHWM work highlighted the importance of programming for children at all levels of need, not just in times of crisis. By analyzing data from 5 communities, we defined 3 zones to classify these needs. Green, so children who are thriving; yellow, children who are coping or surviving; and red, children in or approaching crisis. These zones formed a basis for a review to identify the existing tools, best practices, and resources that could be leveraged to promote Indigenous youth mental wellness at each level of need. The first initiative of the Resource Hub is the Compendium of Indigenous Mental Wellness Programs. We reviewed programs that support mental wellness for Indigenous children and youth based on key features to make sure that they are culturally grounded, community-based, strengths-based, and land-based. We evaluated the relevance and feasibility of each program to rural and remote communities and documented the level of evidence of supporting its effectiveness. We now share the review document itself, so the Compendium of Mental Wellness Programs, and a tutorial video on how to navigate the compendium. These are both on the Resource Hub webpage under Group Programs. And secondly, you can also find the mental health resources and deliverables in our Resource Hub. Here, this is where you'll find links to public resources that are organized by categories. You can also find a collection of both existing and new resources that all address mental health literacy and stigma, including culturally safe activity sheets, coloring pages, exercises, and facilitator instructions. Here are just a few sample activities that are found on the Resource Hub. They're based on local practices. They're directly connected to traditional teachings, and they are co-created with Indigenous partners and artists. This activity in particular is a prompt to reflect on what brings happiness and joy. These next samples are breathing exercises. These are tools to practice self-identification of needs and regulation when experiencing overwhelming emotions through familiar symbols. Things like walleye, teepee, and butterfly. This resource comes from Diva from Piikani First Nation. We also have multiple coloring pages illustrated by Nagani with space for personalized positive messaging. To the right is How Strong Are You activity that explores personal strengths with animals. This activity sheet in particular helps children and youth develop confidence and overcome problems by having them acknowledge unique personal strengths and abilities using animal metaphors. We share our wellness resources on our website, but we also send printed resource packages via mail to communities and organizations. Overall, we've really ensured that our activities are editable to allow all the communities to adapt the resources as they please. For instance, perhaps the community would like to include a particular message, or they would like to include text in a different language. And this is why we have two different versions of each resource available. So we have the PowerPoint version, which allows communities to edit, or we have PDF versions that increase accessibility. And the Creative Commons license protects the work while emphasizing sharing and editing privileges. These resources are available free of charge. So if you are interested in checking this out, go on the Resource Hub. You can find it on the ACHWM member portal, the website, the password protected portion of the website. So you simply go and create a member login at achwm.ca. And once you've logged in, you select the Resource Hub on the left sidebar. The ACHWM team will update this website as new resources or information is made available. So you can keep an eye out. What is next for the Resource Hub? Well, the ACHWM team will continue to expand the Resource Hub by adding new resources that support Indigenous children and youth and creating more adaptations. We're going to translate our resources in multiple Indigenous languages to increase accessibility. We also strongly encourage sharing of the edited versions and the new resources from other communities to gain direction and to gain feedback. So we are very grateful for the important work that has already been done to support Indigenous children and youth. And we really emphasize existing programs and resources. If interested in learning more, please contact us or visit our website. Thank you. Merci. Miigwech.